Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages podcast. I am your host, Kim Wanup. Well, we are in this award season. Yes, we are. In fact, it is first round Oscar voting right now, and I have two terrific episodes this week that I'm giving to you. Today, I have production designer Darren Gilford for the film TRON, and then I'm gonna give you a little bonus episode. I gave you double prizes last week by announcing that the podcast now has subscriptions and extra bonus episodes on Patreon and on iTunes. So there's that. And I'm also starting up advertising for individuals who want to, have FYCs on the IG. If you want to send out emails, the PR companies, it's a great way to promote your customers who are paying for promotion. And companies, Apple, you want to sponsor an episode? Go for it. So on Thursday, I have production designer Fiona Crombie and set decorator Alice Felton, which was an extraordinary conversation with them. I really loved it. I loved today's episode, like digging into TRON, which is just a classic. So that's what's on the episodes today, or episodes this week. I do want to say, I'm going to talk right now a lot about awards and nominations, and I don't want to sound tone deaf as to what is going on in this world. I struggle a lot with the craziness and madness, and I have such anger of what's going on, and I try to keep that very separate from this podcast. And you could see the difference from my Instagram of Decorating Pages and the Instagram of Kim Wanup are very different. So please don't think that because I'm talking about the awards and it seems shallow and doesn't mean anything. Obviously, in our little world, it does. It means something in our hard work in our life. If you aren't happy with your work in life, you're going to be miserable. So to be praised by your peers is something very, special. You can't take that away from what an award means. But I know that there's definitely things going on in this country that are well above conversation of award season. So I'm going to just trying to keep it light here. So I just wanted to put that out there. So let's get to, we have the SDSA nominations, which came out a little bit like last week. Let's see what they got going on. Not man on the inside, I'll tell you that. All right, Best Achievement in Design and Decor for a Contemporary Film. Begonia, F1, J. Kelly, One Battle After Another, Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery. Nice. Best Achievement for Period Feature, Downton Abbey, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Nice. Best Achievement in Fantasy or Science Fiction, Avatar, Fantastic Four, Frankenstein, How to Train Your Dragon, Superman. Look at that. So yeah. Then we have Best Achievement in Comedy or Musical, Freaky Friday, Kiss of the Spider Woman, The Phaeacian Scheme, I can't say it, Roofman, Wicked. So those are the nominations for the SDSA award. Congratulations to all well deserved. I think there's a couple missing there, gotta say, but I congratulations to all of those nominees. The Critics Award was given out this week, and I have to say I agree with a lot, like a lot of who they chose would be my picks. For Best Picture, I would pick One Battle After Another. I might pick Leo over Timmy for Best Actor. I definitely think Jessie Buckley has it. Just give it to her now. That's what I say. But also in last week's episode with Train Dreams, I was doing this on a Sunday night, and they had announced that the cinematographer won, and I didn't mention that. Bravo to that. That that is shot so beautifully. So I'm glad that Train Dreams is getting some recognition. We also have the Art Directors Guild Awards, which decorating pages, will be on the red carpet giving you a live stream of red carpet ADG Awards this year. How exciting is that? How are you going to do that, Kim? I don't know. I'm practicing. I don't know. I gotta practice live streams on YouTube. So if anybody goes on that YouTube channel, you see some weird shit going on. I'm practicing. Okay? Okay. So there's a lot of nominees here. I'm gonna barrel through this. A lot of talent, a lot of great designs going on here. 1 hour period, single camera, 1923, The House of Guinness, It, Welcome to Derry, Palm Royale, The Gilded Age. 1 hour fantasy single camera, Alien Earth, Andor, Stranger Things, The Last of Us, Wednesday. Wow, that's a tough one. 1 hour contemporary single camera series, Pluribus, Severance, Slow Horses, The Pit, The White Lotus. TV movie or limited series, Adolescent, Black Mirror, Black Rabbit, Death by Lightning. That would be my pick. Monster, also very good, but I don't really watch it. But it's period. It's very good. Actually, because it's limited. Okay, half-hour single camera, Hacks, Murderbot, which I will have in 2 weeks talking to production designer Sue Chen and the decorator. Only Murders in the Building, The Bear, and The Studio. Multi-camera series, 2 for mid-century modern with 2 different designers. Papa's House, Vampira, the Teenage Vampire, and Wizards of Waverly Place with production designer Kelly Hogan. You can listen to her. I think that was in October. Now, variety reality series, Dancing with the Stars, Jimmy Kimmel Live. You can listen to Heidi Miller back in September. Saturday Night Live, Squid Game, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Variety special, the Tony Awards, and it's Gary Corden, who's a good guy. I don't know that performer's name. Asko Okasuka. I'm horrible. Miley Cyrus, SNL 50, and Wicked, a wonderful night. Commercials, Anderson, Prada, State Farm, Target, Xbox. I've probably seen them all. I don't know. Commercials is hard to judge. Short form and music videos, Apple, Someday by Spike Jonze, Coldplay, Lady Gaga, Sabrina Carpenter, and Taylor Swift. Here we go. Period films. Oh, wow. Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, and the Phaeocian Scheme. I don't know. I just watched it again because I threw it on. It's really pretty. Fantasy. This is hard too. Avatar, Mickey 17, Superman, Fantastic Four, Wicked for Good. I gotta say, and it's not just because this is the Tron episode, I am kind of surprised Tron isn't on here. I really am. I mean, seeing it and analyzing it, I am kind of surprised. Contemporary film, Begonia, F1, Mission Impossible, One Battle After Another, and Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery. Animated film, Elio, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Bad Guys 2, SpongeBob, and Zootopia 2. So those are your ADG nominations. And second round voting, I believe, is through February. So yeah, and again, on February 28th, I will be live streaming the ADG Awards on the red carpet. Yay! So many dresses. Too many dresses. Yeah. What have I been watching? Good old Sound of Music. And I analyzed that film in the production design film study with Adam Rell in 1965. And watching it and analyzing it even more as I watch it, it's such a fantastically lit, and the muted colors that they have, and then the brilliance of the mountains and everything. Yeah. And then I gotta say, I watched a lot of comedy for some reason. I watched the Ricky Gervais comedy special, the Dave Chappelle, the Eddie Murphy movie, and which is on Netflix, about Eddie Murphy. And I don't care if you're not an Eddie Murphy fan. You got to check it out simply because his house. They show his whole house. Oh my God, he's got a retractable, like, cathedral glass ceiling. It's crazy. His house is crazy. So, even if you're not an Eddie Murphy fan, just check it out to look at his house. That's what I would say. As I said, we are in first round of the Oscar voting this week, and I did a little deep dive into Oscar voting, and what I found out was this. In the first round of Oscar voting, the peers vote. So it's peer group voting. But then in the second round, I believe it's open to everyone. So in the first round, you vote for production design and best picture. And then for the final round, everybody votes in everything. Please tell me if I'm wrong on that. That seems wrong. I don't know. That just seems wrong. I think peers should be voting for peers. I don't really think it should be like that. So yeah, that, and I found something else out. I took a picture of it. Now let me find it. Here it is. There are approximately 10,000 Oscar voters. So there's 10,136 members eligible to vote for the 98th Academy Awards. Okay. As of now, to win a category, 231, oh no. So if they all vote, it'll take 922 votes to get a Best Picture nomination this year. Just for a nomination, you gotta have 922 votes. 21 more than it took to get one last year. That's something. You guys, it doesn't seem like a lot. There's only 10,000 members to the Academy. I have a note for the Academy while we're on the Academy subject. I have a note for the Television Academy also. If we're so worried about films not being in the theaters long enough, do you know who makes up that rule? The Academy. The Academy of Motion Picture and Arts has a rule that it has to be in the theaters, I believe, for 2 weeks to be considered for Best Picture. So just make it longer. Make them have films in the theaters longer. I don't, that seems kind of no-brainer, right? Those 10,000 people who are members, I am sure, could make that happen in a vote. Just change the rule. Because then there's the whole problem with, well, you get clunkers and then you have to keep a film in your theater for 3 to 4 weeks or whatever. I'm just saying, just change the rule. If it's only 2 weeks and we're worried about it, then change the rule. You have the power that if they're going by your standard, change your standard. The other thing I would say to the Television Academy, that I am a governor of, is there is a lot of films that are now, quote, TV movies. Like the new Bridget Jones film that came out this year, something about her falling in love with like a young guy. I didn't watch it. That's considered a TV movie. So it's considered for an Emmy in all, and you know, their categories. Did Renee Zellweger know she was doing a TV movie? This is what I don't understand. How are these films? These are films. How are they eligible for TV? And I don't know. I just don't get that. I don't. It should be a tiered film. So the people working on that got a movie of the week rate, or like, that's crazy to me. There has to be something done internally where we change the rules. We don't like this game. Change it. We as people who work in the industry and have voting power in our industry, let's try to change it for simple ways. Like, you can't have a 2-hour Renee Zellweger movie. Last year there was a J-Lo movie that came up as a TV movie. I was like, I don't think J-Lo knows that she did a TV movie. I think she thinks she did a feature. I'm sure her agent presented it to her that way. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been pondering lately. So I thought I'd let you know. Okay, I went off on that rant. Sorry. All right, let's get to this this episode. Okay, here we go. I had the pleasure, the real pleasure, of discussing Tron with production designer Darren Gilford about Tron Ares. And Darren has been working on and off on Tron for years. He has been in this universe from the previous films, and he's been a fan of it since he was young. So he breaks down that it was like coming back to it with way more experience, way more tech, and a lot more toys. So, how fun! I say that's like my first question. Like, if someone came back to me in 10, 15 years and said, all right, let's do another Veep, let's do another Parks and Rec. Yeah, how interesting. Where are they now? And to do something like Tron that has these technical advances and the brilliance of the sci-fi, that's awesome. So obviously I totally nerd out with them. So, and we talk about how they developed that candy apple red environment, why the wall panels had to be cut based on the grain direction, what the practical engineering behind those glowing floors was. They're just beautiful. Plus, Darren shares how Flynn's grid, if you're a Tron fan, you know who Flynn is, became a love letter to Sid Mead, and how the original archive made its way into the design as a real Easter egg. So yeah. Alrighty, let's get to it. I hope you enjoy. Your details and everything. I wanted to start with how exciting it must have been to come back to this, like that feeling of like, oh my god, I get to do this again. Like, I would be ecstatic if, some of my shows, 10, 15 years down the road wanted to do something. Like, how exciting was that?
Yeah, it's deeper and more complex than that, to be honest. I mean, Tron was really important to me as a kid. Kind of helped me put me on my path. There was a few movies that really kind of set me on my way. Very, very young. Tron was one of them. So when I got to do Legacy with Joe Kosinski around 2010, that was my first. I had done one other small movie, but that was my first really big opportunity and kind of big break. So it was huge for me, and I was just really getting started in my career. And then to go back about 15 years later, having done a lot of other shows and having a lot more experience and just going back with a different comfort level, but going back into that playground that I kind of started with was just super fun. But it wasn't just 10 years later. I had actually done two different versions in prep between that time. So I had done the first Tron, and then Joe Kosinski and I we did Oblivion. And then after Oblivion, we started up another Tron. We started up Tron Ascension, which was the third movie at the time. And we were on it for about 6 months. And then Disney released their science fiction movie Tomorrowland, and it didn't do really well. And it kind of shut us down right away. They were kind of like, we're not really ready for sci-fi right now. And also, they had just bought Lucas. So Lucas had just gotten bought at that point.
Mm.
So it was kind of a time, so it kind of went dormant. And then I was lucky enough to jump onto Star Wars. I did Star Wars The Force Awakens, which was amazing. And then as soon as I finished that, it was amazing experience. That's a whole nother crazy story. But as soon as I finished that, we started up Tron again. They turned the lights back on. I literally got back to LA from London and we did it again with Joe. And so we did another 4 or 5 months on it. So I had all this development, and then that went under, and then we went and we
My
did other
God.
things. But yeah, so anyway, I had all this development work that I had done in these two previous versions that were just kind of stored. So when we kicked it back up my third time and there was another iteration that had gone that I wasn't involved with at all, that also got kind of shut down. And then finally, Yoakum's version just got started, and they asked me to come in, and I was happy to. And then it just started all over again. So that was
God,
early 2023, like yeah, January of 23.
what a ride. what a
Yeah.
like keep it in your mind and keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you know what else? I mean, the technology and being with ILM and getting, being able to, have them involved and everything. I mean, that must amp it up a lot too in your thoughts of designing this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really into visual effects. It's kind of how I kind of got into the business, as I kind of came in through visual effects in a lot of ways. So I love the technology. I love all the toys. I've always really been, proactive about implementing those tools into my department as much as I can. So I'm very much into that, and a very digital art department. And
Hmm.
so I have kind of a special relationship with visual effects in a lot of ways, and a lot of assets and things that we develop in our art department just seamlessly get evolve and go straight into the visual effects pipeline. And this was no different. I actually had an amazing relationship with David Seeger, our visual effects supervisor on this one, and his team. They were just really, really amazing to work with, and just so collaborative in every way. And they were just really, really wonderful from the beginning to the end.
Do you pinch yourself that you got to do Tron and Star Wars? Because I would.
Yeah, no, I've been really, really fortunate. No, it's not lost on me. Yeah, I mean, it's I've been very, very fortunate in some of the projects I've got to work on. It's been some of the IPs I've got to work on are really fun. I love that too. I like working with an IP. I kind of like having a little bit of a box or definitions to kind of work within. So I like that. I mean, I love original stuff too, but it's all interesting to me. I find it all really, really fun and challenging.
It's such a wonderful career in what we get to research and what we get to
Yeah.
do and like
Yeah.
make believe and reality and historical things. So
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
feel very lucky for that.
Yeah, I don't take it for granted. I know, one of my favorite things about being a production designer is getting to work with the most unbelievable talented artisans across so many crafts. And oh, sorry, my dog's barking.
Oh,
Um,
I apologize.
um, and yeah, I feel so fortunate to get to work with so much talent. And I pinch myself that I don't take it for granted. I know how lucky I am and how few of these jobs and positions there are. So yeah, I don't take it lightly.
It is crazy how we are big things happen, but we are kind of a small community.
Yeah.
Um, in getting to this and your like color selections and your surfaces selections, how much R&D, like how much research are you doing trying to find the surfaces to play with the concept that you want, and then integrating with lighting, like that had to be very intricate.
Yeah, I mean it's part of the fabric of obviously what we do. Yeah, I mean, there's surfaces and paint and materials in every set, are so incredibly important. But this was particularly different. I mean, besides all the real world sets that we have and their, kind of the traditional methods of making those choices and figuring out how to decorate those sets and design those sets. The challenge of the grid is very different because it's a computer. We're building physical sets, but we're representing things that are theoretically, obviously, inside of the computer. So trying to get surfaces that look different and don't have the traditional textures of paint and sheen and the typical wall surfaces and things that we traditionally go to. So that was one of the things from the very beginning is I wanted to try something very different. On the first Tron, we used a ton of this material called dye bond, which is like
Mhm.
it's a stainless steel that's mounted to a plastic. It's laminated to a plastic. And if you cut the edge at a real severe bevel, you can get a really great highlight on stuff. And so this was back in 2010. And so CNC work was still fairly kind of new, but we were still cutting all of our panels out of CNC and all that type of stuff. And it was, we used, and it was great because we were using a lot of these materials that looked great on camera. They bloomed a certain way. They were more metallic. They didn't quite have the same qualities, which was great. So this time around, we knew we were going to be in a red environment from the beginning. It was really important that we wanted Dillinger to be red. So I wanted to get that surface in red, but they don't, anodizing that much aluminum wasn't really practical in figuring out. So we went into a pretty deep R&D um, um, kind of development phase with construction and with our paint department. and we found this kind of magical combination. We used the stainless steel die bond, and we found a car wrap that was
Oh,
a
wow.
transparent kind of candy apple red car wrap.
Okay.
And we were able to adhere it to the stainless. But it was like it was a whole different type of team that had to kind of go back and figure out how to burnish this stuff down, how to maintain it, how to clean it. But it gave a real amazing look to the walls. And if you look at the regeneration room and kind of the main extraction room, which are the two big Dillinger sets in the grid, the big red sets, all those walls are done that way. So when the camera, we did the tons of camera tests to see if this was going to work. And Jeff Cronenworth, the DP, who I love, and I could speak
Wow.
hours about Jeff.
Amazing.
But we did all these R&D, and we realized how cool it was. It was giving a very different bloom effect, and how the grain of the stainless steel, if it was horizontal, it would create these vertical highlights or these flares that were amazing, and vice versa. If there was if it was vertical, the grain was vertical, it would go horizontal. So we learned this, and we started actually cutting all of our panels and seeing them based on the grain. So we would get the highlights to go different directions. So they could do like 30, 60-degree angles on the highlights and the
Oh,
grain of the surfaces of the walls, which just gave it a totally different, unique look that never been, I don't think Johnny Dale, the construction coordinator, loved it because it's like, no one, we haven't done this before. Everybody's going to wonder how to do
yeah.
this. And now we have a new technique. So it was kind of fun. So now I
So
can.
you're saying like these are the grain pieces, kind of?
No, those are actually lights.
Those are lights.
Those
They're
are lights. But
integrated.
if you look at the walls, if you look at the fall off on the walls,
Like
this
this
isn't.
to this.
Yeah, yeah. But in this maybe it's not the best example because it's a little flat. But how the cores and things wrap. Yeah, go back to that one for a second. You can just see the sheen on the back
Oh,
wall, like
yeah.
right,
I
right.
see
Yeah,
that.
like that is
I
basically a core that is just going right across the wall, and we had all these kind of bent surfaces too that
see.
would kind of bend the light into the corners and things like that. So it was really fun. It definitely gave us a very different look to the set that
Yeah.
we couldn't achieve in paint.
Because too, I mean, you've integrated all these light panels in the floor and in the walls and the ceiling, because it's a hard ceiling, right? I couldn't tell if he's lighting
No,
them
no.
above.
Actually, this ceiling was open. There was some
It
floating
was open.
panels, but there was a lot of it open, so we could light it. There was a centerpiece that was slung that you could see that was kind of that generation chamber that was hung. But this was like a clip. That set was kind of
Oh,
like a clip, so it kind of wrapped on the side with an open center. But all those red lines that you see here are all lights. So those
they're
are
all
all LED, kind of channels that are cut in the floor. And then all the LEDs are laid in there. And then to make it more complicated, there's standing plexiglass for the floor because they have to have plexiglass. So Johnny had to like engineer a way to do standing
oh wow.
clear plexiglass that you don't see, that doesn't pick up and doesn't cast shadows the way it's lit. So it's really complicated and tricky, but those are basically all light wells.
There's some really great floor patterns in this in this film. I really like all of like the battle scenes and the triangles and like the flooring to me is like, well, that was a whole nother art director who should have just been in charge of flooring for this thing because it's a
Yeah,
lot.
I had, it's all about the team. I had an amazing team, but the floor on this set in particular was really funny because it was so shiny and
Yeah.
so gloss. And we were working, um, we had stuff protecting the floor at all times. So, everything was so scratch proof. We had laid the floor down and then covered it up immediately with the hardboard, the hardy board,
Mm,
or the cardboard. And
right.
we had put it all around. And then we had done them, from the set. And then, right before, a couple days before, we're dressing, before we're ready to shoot, we pull everything off and we're walking around in our booties and nobody could stand up. It was so slick. It was
Slippery.
like worse than the worst ice rink you could imagine. It was so slippery. So we had to kind of do some last minute kind of things to help like figure out some wax on the floor that could just help a little bit. And then on anything that had an incline, we literally had to put grip tape patterns down, cut grip tape patterns, because you could not make it up a simple like 3 or 4 degree surface. It was so slick and so slippery on your
God.
feet.
And it's like
Yeah.
then you're like, just protect the set.
Yeah, just keep it
Like, don't
clean.
fall, but like, don't
Yeah,
scratch the floor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was really, yeah, this floor was like, it was the first day was great. It got scuffed up so fast, but it was, we have a whole team, an army of people that come in
Yeah.
every night just to clean and repair and all that. But yeah,
Yeah, because all of these surfaces you can see, and plus the cameras, you guys like you can see everything, every
yeah,
detail. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, but it's great, and it's such a feeling with the red. It's such a like there's such a different feeling when they're in this room and the big face coming in and talking to them and it's a really great environment, even though it's stark. There's not a lot in here, but you've given it so much depth with the walls and everything. It's really great.
Thanks.
Oh
The
yeah.
red was fun. It was challenging. I knew that it was going to be a bit of a hard sell in the beginning. I mean, we needed to color code it in a lot of ways, but I was just really worried about. It was one of the first things I talked to Jeff about the DP because I was worried about forcing him to deal with so much red on skin tones and things like that. And
Yeah.
he was such a trooper. He was just fearless. He's like, let's just go for it. He was looking at the concept art. Really liked the concept art. Thought it was fun. One of the notes he gave, and I felt very strongly about it as well. But in this image, you can kind of see the lack of it. You need a little bit of white. You can't just have red. You
Oh,
need an accent. So, like, you see in a lot of places, there's little accents of white in places just to kind of cool it off a little bit to give your eye
yeah.
a place to go. So
Yeah.
we tried to incorporate a lot of white when we could, but keep it as monochromatic as we could with the reds and the whites and the blacks.
Well, yeah, with all of the camera work and giving, I'm sure that's what you meant, like the highlights and everything, and plus the action in all of those scenes, and a lot of facial expressions going on. Like you need to get rid of that red a little bit, especially
Yeah.
the actors. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So what was and being a Tron fan from the beginning, was there something that you wanted like to give homage to that wasn't really written, but you knew design wise I can pay homage to like the original?
Oh yeah, well this grid, the Flynn original the Flynn grid, this was a love letter to Sid Mead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
This is what we wanted to do for sure is take some of these ideas of this, what would it have evolved into if he would have lived here and built his temple? And that we studied every frame of the original Tron for the proportions of line weights and
Mm,
the language they were using and really elevated it. I got to work really closely with an amazing artist on this named Till Noack, and he really amazing guy. He works primarily, he's an incredible 3D artist, but
mm,
he works in Unreal. He's like a painter in Unreal, the Unreal Engine. So this was really fun. I worked with him on all three grids actually, because I wanted to be inside of them in Unreal and be able to kind of go around them and experience them and really understand these worlds. So we designed all this stuff, traditionally, and then we kind of ported it all into Unreal so we could kind of put the headsets on and really walk around them and really get a
oh
feeling for
wow.
what these worlds were. And this was super fun to do because it was obviously so retro,
Yeah.
um, and what we were trying to go for. Just to back up a little bit, it was like when I first took the job and we started to kind of identify, what the task was from a design standpoint. It was really evident, really clear that there was kind of four lanes, kind of four buckets, and it was obviously all the real world stuff that we needed to do for more traditional. Live action filmmaking. But then it was the three grids. It was the NCOM grid, it was the Dillinger grid, and then it was this retro Flynn grid. And so it was really important that we were always kind of thinking about the audience that is jumping from these grids back and forth and knowing where they are, and how do we really make it really clear, color palette, design palette, everything we could to just make sure it was really obvious where we were, as we were kind of working throughout the story.
I mean, when Flynn's grid comes up on the screen, I can't imagine anyone in the theater not smiling. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like it's just like,
yeah, it's
oh,
fun.
okay, we're
Yeah,
here. We're here. I
yeah.
don't there's not many photos online of it, but seeing it and the nostalgia of it and just, also appreciating that we're going to go back and we're going to experience this a little bit in the film is really nice as a viewer too.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was it's probably one of my favorite edits of the movie is when Ares goes through the glass window and then it transfers into going through the grid when he gets zapped into the grid by the laser. But yeah, that was really, really fun to do. I got to work with one of my longest collaborating kind of concept artists, a guy named Phil Saunders. And he's an old school sci-fi concept guy, just like me. We go way back. And I think he really enjoyed this task. This was like going back to a little bit of his childhood and kind of, working on the Flynn grid with him was really, really fun. Yeah.
Was there any drawings or anything from the original that you guys had access to?
We had everything. I had
Oh, you had
everything.
everything. Oh,
Yeah, Steve Lisberger, director of the original Tron, gave me his entire archive on Legacy. So I had
wow.
everything, like everything digital. Yeah. And so we had all that. And then yeah, if you look closely, the Flynn Museum in the NCOM set in the top floor of Flynn, there's a Flynn Museum, and it's meant to be, recreation of Flynn's office. And
Yeah.
so if you look at the desk and like those are all of Sid Mead's original drawings, like that are there's a drafting table. And
Yeah.
my graphic artist, like one of my favorites as well, collaborator Ellen Lample, she kind of took all that stuff, reworked it, and really made it kind of integrated it into what Kevin Flynn would have like had on his desk. So it was
Yeah.
really fun to actually use the real drawings or the real original concept sketches that Sid did for the Solar Sailor and the original light cycle and all that stuff. And they're all pinned up there as if they were elements when he was designing when Kevin Flynn was designing Space Paranoids originally.
I mean, I looked for a really long time online for like this for that office and the Alaskan Flynn station, and no one has screen grabs of it yet. And I was like, God damn it. But yeah, because that to me, like the Alaskan Flynn station and then this recreation is such a gem for a set decorator to do. And I
Yeah.
know, like collaborating with Elizabeth Wilcox, your decorator on this. Um, how did you guys like homage it, but still give it this like updated look here?
Elizabeth's amazing and her team is amazing. And it speaks a little bit about working up in it was, 15 years ago when we did Legacy. It was amazing then, and it was equally as strong now. But this was really fun. I mean, Elizabeth, I think, she's such a pro. I don't, she's not necessarily a huge science fiction fan or a huge original Tron fan when she started, but she just dove in headfirst and really got into it with her team. And I have a soft spot for all that nostalgia and all those Easter
Yeah.
eggs and all the films I
Yeah.
do. I try and pay homage to the fans and give them, as many things as they can to hunt for in a movie like this. And so, she totally read that from me. And this office in particular was a huge project. I mean, it was a massive project. Just every single piece in here was curated from the 80s and what Kevin Flynn would have had. And then going around this whole office, they did an amazing job decorating this office. It
Oh
was meant to
yeah.
be like the ultimate millennial video game office of all time. And literally, I wish you could go down and see everything that was dressed on every one of those desks. It was really, really fun. I mean, they went through, researched all the video game titles, every type of game, whether it was a racing game or a first-person
Mhm.
shooter or a fighting game, and then they kind of decorated each kind of area as if it was a title that they were working on with maquettes and sketches and as if it was a
Ugh,
full kind of video game art department. It was really fun. It was
oh, I
great fun.
love that. And
Yeah.
this was a build,
Huge build. Yeah,
huge
this was a
build.
big
Yeah,
build.
it's
Yeah,
a big
yeah,
build. How
yeah. Which
many?
goes, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
how
sorry.
many stages did you have? Okay.
I was just going to mention it was
Yeah.
it was really unique. It was like never had a situation like this before. We had a few stages, but we really had two stages, two massive stages, like the biggest stages I've ever worked on before. And that was Mammoth Studios up in I think it's Burnaby. But I think the one stage was 90,000 square foot and the other was
Oh
120,000 square feet.
oh my
And
God.
so And so you're building multiple sets in these spaces.
Yeah.
So we're building huge sets in each of these spaces. So each one of these spaces is 3 or 4 sets, some of them even way more. But the problem with this is you can't change stuff over because you can't be,
Yeah.
the crew can't be between the two, figure out your changeovers, go away, come back, all that. But it's really two really huge spaces for all these sets. But the other huge advantage of working there was we're all under one roof. Like all the departments were there, like construction, costumes, props, set deck, production, everybody, special effects, stunts, well, special effects had an outside shop, but pretty much you're at one giant kind of compound. So it made it really easy to kind of, run around meetings and get answers and all of
Right.
that.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, changing sets over and trying to get the shooting crew out while you're trying to do
Yeah.
something. It's not. It sucks. It sucks.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, the logistics are always tricky on a huge movie like this, but you compound it when you have a state with 2 stages like that when you're packed into them. So it was but my supervising art director, Grant Vanderslat, who's just a legend up in Vancouver, he juggled it like just such a pro. He was so fantastic to work with. So I give him all the credit for making that work.
there's the a main office where a lot of things happen outside the windows and everything. So did you had was it a wraparound like a transom that you had, but then a green screen? Like how did you guys do that? Was it both?
That was a video wall.
A
That was
video
a
wall.
wraparound LED video wall that we set up around the front of that. Yeah. And we shot plates and Dave Seeger stitched them all together, got different times of day, little animation in the windows and stuff like that. But that was all LED wall.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the desks. I love all of that. I love
Yeah.
the lights. I love
Yeah.
everything.
That's all Elizabeth. I got to give Elizabeth credit on finding all that stuff. It was
Yeah,
great.
the
Yeah.
income. I know. I wish there was more of a walk and talk or going through these other little offices, like you said, because you can see there's just a lot of other offices going on in this top floor that I wanted to check out. But yeah, that's great.
My favorite, probably selfishly, my favorite element of the movie was in this office, which was, um, at a certain point, the we weren't going to an arcade, and so we really didn't go to an arcade in this movie. And I was like, we got to go. I'm Tron. How do you not go to an arcade? So on the backside of this set, there is a living wall of video games.
Oh,
It was fun. It was like 3 stories high of all traditional video games. We changed all the graphics on all the boxes. We changed a lot of we did some animation, some live animation in a lot of them, but it was basically a whole wall of games. One of Castro Arturo's character gets thrown into the wall, but
yeah.
you see it when they walk in through the elevators. There's one wall and it's all video games, and that was really fun to do too. Taking all the licenses and all the fictitious games from all the Tron graphics from the
Centipede?
past and turning those into real games.
I
Well,
like
we couldn't
Centipede.
use, there was a lot of them we
I
couldn't
know
use for
you
licensing. Yeah,
yeah,
I love Centipede too.
yeah.
Yeah. But
No.
so we kind of had to make our own versions of a lot of those.
Isn't it crazy of like, you watch old TV shows, old movies, they're playing Monopoly. They're playing on video game. You know what I mean? Like the clearance issue and the stifling of of the real world sometimes, sucks. It's like I want to show
Yeah.
all this, but
Yeah.
it sucks. But oh. No, I loved all of this, the high-end look and then the retro at the core of it. I just thought was like such a great way to show this. And then you blew it all up, kind of. Like you kind of
Yeah, no, this set was designed from the beginning to have this major destruction stunt to go right through it. So it was designed that way. It was elevated. I think we were 10 feet in the air or something like that with a huge track underneath
Oh,
it to
wow.
carry the whole crash rig through it. Yeah, it was a big set.
That's a big, yeah, it's a big explosion
Yeah.
too. And yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
hope
we
you
had to
got,
be we had to be up high for the video wall for it to fall off behind us, and we had the fake NCOM sign from the building that was outside the window that they kind of came through. So this was a really big build. That carpet,
I love that
Elizabeth
carpet.
had that carpet. She had it printed. we had to print that weeks out, and it was really scary about getting it in time and stuff. I forgot where she had it from. It might have been out of the country, but
Mm.
she had it printed, and yeah, it was tricky to get in time, but she did it.
Well, anytime you do white carpet on a set is
Yeah.
it's always like you're holding your breath. I've done it. It doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's got to be a quick set. It's got to be a swing set. Um,
Yeah.
um, and you got to go back a little bit to Flynn's arcade. Now, is this Culver City? Is this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the original that's a restaurant in Culver City. Yeah, that's
yeah.
the original. That's from the original movie. I think that's from
Which
80 82.
I didn't know that, like that was the thing because I've shot inside there. I shot inside it, and when I was looking at this,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God, it is there!" Or it could be any
Yeah. Yeah.
building, but I was like, "It is there." That's fun. I want.
Yeah, yeah, it's on a weird little intersection in Culver City, but we've had to kind of bastardize it a few times
Yeah,
to wedge it into other story points. So it's on a more normal intersection now, and it's obviously more derelict. But yeah,
yeah,
we harvested it from that facade for
from
sure.
the original. Yeah, I mean the Culver hotels over there. I mean, it kind of everything
Yeah,
falls off in the background. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it
Um.
was fun. That was the very, very first thing we did when we got to Vancouver this time around was build the basement lab. We knew we had to have that, and so we used that kind of a warm up for construction just to kind of turn the lights back on and get going.
Mm.
So we built that set, the basement set. We had all the drawings. We knew exactly what it was. So we built that, and then I think Yoakum showed up in Vancouver like day one, and I was walking through the stages. He's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "That's the lab." He's like, "I hope it's still in." We built
Oh,
it so
oh,
quick. He had no
oh,
idea. I don't think he even realized that it was going up. It was very funny, but it made it. But it was
oh my
very
God.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had sets that I'm literally taking pictures to send to the designer and he's like, "Yeah, they just cut it."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
happens all the time. Yeah.
So Dillinger's world, and you have this character and this family from Tron that you elevate and have follow through these three films. Was there anything that you wanted to give them that was not just fresh and updated, but nostalgic to keep that thread going?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, going back to the David Warner, there's a couple of iconic, there's many iconic things in Tron, but one of the ones for me is the interface desk from the very, very first movie
Oh yeah.
that Dillinger had on the first movie. And then we did a tribute to that in Legacy, the giant conference room in Legacy, we did that. And then on this one,
I don't have.
Evan or Julian rather, Dillinger, his desk in his office has got that big kind of glass desk that's kind of a touch interface where he basically talks to the grid and talks to Ares through. But that was something I wanted to definitely have a strong correlation to the graphics of that, the interface of that. It just feels like that's got deep roots in kind of the Dillinger core. So we used that again. What else from Dillinger? Um,
Yeah, I don't have that, but
yeah, his office was really fun to do, kind of the office that kind of overlooked this space,
yeah,
which was great. With these big kind of very kind of film noir blinds that we did, these kind of very thick slat blinds that were really fun looking out into
yeah,
this space. This was a really fun space to do too with ILM. We basically did the floor and we did the kind of the control desk at the front. Elizabeth built some beautiful consoles. All these
yeah,
consoles were fantastic, but all that space, the floor was real, but all the walls on the sides and the depth was mostly done in CG. But we had to all be designed because when we went upstairs in the office, we had a video wall and projected this through the wall, so that was all comped in together. So the images of this warehouse, this transfer bay, at a higher angle is what we see inside of Dillinger's office.
Oh wow, I was gonna ask how far you built up. So
We
this
didn't,
you did make.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, we had dressing on the sides. We used
Mm.
the dressing on the sides, and like one of the things I forgot to mention was working in those stages. They're huge spaces, but there's posts. There's not a lot of posts, but there's posts you have to deal with. So those structures you're seeing are kind of the foreground, our posts. We dress in front of the posts, and then we put
Oh,
the green screen behind. So we added a couple of cross beams and some members and things like that. And then those gantries, you can kind of see those yellow gantries in the back. We built up to about, I don't know, 18, 16 or 18 feet.
oh,
And
I
then
see.
they're all extended in CG. So we had those on tracks that could move that gantry.
Oh yeah. I was like there must have been some elements that had it, but now I see, now that I'm really looking, I can see what you're talking about that it's and the posts are there. That was dumb. Who builds a soundstage with posts in it? It was
You
dumb.
know what? I think every designer that's ever worked at Mammoth has very creatively had to deal with posts. Like they're like
Intricate.
in that the posts were also in that NCOM office. The NCOM
Oh.
office, there's posts in the middle of that that are hidden. They're hidden within our posts. So there's very creative ways to do it, but I'm sure Grant, my supervising art director, could write a book on how to hide posts in
Mm,
in
yeah.
Canada.
The expertise level of some things that we never thought we'd know. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I see like because this, I mean, it's pretty dark in this set. On this, it's red, but it's pretty dark on this set. Was there talk of making the consoles and everything red, or just like letting it go a little more, just because you have them white, which is great. I mean,
You know what? It was really was always about what's taking place on the floor.
mm,
It's about the formation and the printing of of the assets on the floor. The consoles are great. They're awesome, but it was all really just background to
mhm.
really frame what's happening, on the manufacturing floor.
And then when they're manufacturing all of these pieces and everything, are you involved in the design of those also?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm just yeah, I that's probably from my visual effects background, that's what I like to bring to a show like this is I'm designing it all. So or my team is designing it all. So we're working, we do all the concept work, a lot of 3D builds, a lot of paintings and things like that, and then turn all those assets over to a team at ILM that starts to really populate this. And then I'm reviewing that with Dave Seeger, on a weekly basis, how that's developing. We're pitching that to Yoakum, and we're working on all that as the set's being built together. So as the set's being built and conceived at the same time under construction, so is the backgrounds that are going to be projected, or whether they're going to be in visual effects or we're going to put on our video wall. We got to figure all that out so it's all seamless.
Are you able to stay on during post?
I usually do on a lot of shows. Like the first Tron, I was on for 4 years. I think from the beginning to the end of that movie, I was on all the way through. This one, not so much. I was involved. We had some reshoots that we did. We did a shoot in Mexico, and then I kind of trickled on to post production for a bit while we were working on the NCOM Fortress,
Mm,
and some of the other bigger visual effects stuff that were just kind of carrying across the finish line, some continuity issues, just kind of consulting on that. But usually I'm involved more. This one, they had it under control. Dave and his team really kind of carried across the finish line kind of beautifully. But yeah, it's some I kind of peter out on the end of them. I usually, I'll finish photography, and if it's a big design show where there's a ton of production design that's really carried over into post, I'll usually, kind of carry on for a few months and a couple days a week kind of thing.
mm. Because I think that's always like a conversation of designers not being kept on enough during post, and you hand over this package, and you've created this language, and you're hoping everybody is talking the same language. So, they always try to, especially with films like this or TV or shows like this that has a lot of posts and everything, just keeping the designer involved. I mean, it's really important.
Yeah, you know what? It all goes to the relationships, and I feel like I have such a great relationship with Yoakum. Yoakum trusted me in the beginning, really early, with all my kind of history of Tron and the knowledge of it. So that was great. But then working with Dave and just throughout production, making sure he was invited in to our world as much as possible early on, and then that pays dividends in the end because on the backside of that, he's inviting me into his world, answer some questions, dot I's and cross T's and just making sure things are carried over. So it goes down to really good, healthy working relationships with with your department heads. And Dave and I were really kind of in sync on this one.
I don't have any photos of this, but you shot 6 weeks of nights in doing all of the chasings and all of the exterior work in Vancouver. How was that?
For me, it's not as bad. I mean, for the shooting crew, it's really, really rough. But for me, I'll open up the sets. I got to be around during the day because that's when all the,
Yeah.
the big, where the construction's going on and a lot of decisions are being made. I open up the sets and I'm usually, unless it's towards the back end of production, I can hang around photography a little bit more. But usually I got to be out in front. So it's usually not as bad for me, but I definitely change my day. So, I'm
Hmm.
in the, going to set later in the day and later at night, opening the sets, starting a few hours with them, and then I'm lucky enough to be able to peel off. But it's brutal on the crew, no doubt. It's really tough. And Vancouver is, I mean, it can be wet and cold for,
Yeah.
a really long, long time.
Did
Yeah.
that fall in the beginning of the schedule or the end?
The nights. I think it was fairly early because I think it was. Well, our schedule got so messed up. We started in early 23, but we had the
No,
writer's
major
strike. The
strike.
strike happened in the middle of it. So they sent us home, which was really brutal. And then we went back. So things really got messed up. But I think it actually worked out in our favor because I think our nights were going to be in the dead of winter. And I think it slid a few months because of
Oh,
that. And we got a little bit more time. But
that helps.
it was a mess with the strike. I just remember it was really tricky. Everything got kind of thrown up in the air and we had to figure it out.
Because I was wondering if, oh, maybe they shot those to give opportunity for the builds to happen up front. Even though as a it never helps me when you're starting on location because I still got to do locations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't help me.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I was thinking about this. I think we started on stage with that transfer based stuff. What we're looking at here, this screen. I think it was one of our big. We were starting there on a lot of stuff, but we had a lot of locations. Yeah, we had to go out for a lot of stuff. So we would go away, we'd come back, we'd go away. But the road work was pretty intense. Like all the road work, the light cycle stuff, that was all packaged together.
Was the Alaska Flynn station, was that exterior, was that a set or was that a location?
That was an LED volume,
Oh, that one, yeah.
mostly LED volume. And they shot some of the shoe leather stuff. The travel was obviously a remote location on a snow bike, but we built yeah that was a volume that was a volume build on stage, which was funny because we thought going into the show there'd be so much volume work, just the nature of it,
Yeah.
digital, synthetic.
You built
But
a
it ended
lot.
up not it ended up not really being that way. We ended up using it for things like that because logistically going up to a frozen
Yeah.
tundra environment with an orange tree and all that was such a nightmare. We needed to really control that. And then when we got to thinking about the grid stuff, doing some of the video wall with the grid stuff, it was really hard because the grid is so flat and you really need kind of foreground elements to hide where your set ends and the video wall kind of begins. You need a lot of these tricks. And we didn't really have a lot of that, like in the Flynn grid and stuff. Things were so clean and went on for infinity and things like that. So it ended up going more traditional visual effects methods.
Do you have a favorite of this film, your favorite set? Like one you would have like, oh my God, as a kid, I would have died to have done this set. Like
I would say instead of a set, I'm just gonna have to say the light cycle. I mean,
the light cycle. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, getting to do the light cycles,
Yeah.
it's just really, I'm a big, I've always a big transportation nut. Actually, that's what I went to school for. I was a car designer. I went to
Oh,
school to study
wow.
car design.
Oh, I love
Um,
old cars. Old cars, could they come back? Like, oh,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. And my dad was a really famous car designer in the 60s. He worked on muscle cars in the
Oh,
60s.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of how I kind of got into design was through my dad. So, and my dad has also designed Hot Wheels, like he was one of the original Hot Wheels designers from Mattel in the 60s. So that runs deep. So getting to, kind of follow in the footsteps of Sid Mead, and getting to work on, iconic movie vehicles. And Light Cycle's one of the top ones. I mean, you think of Batmobile and Light
Yeah.
Cycle, and
Yeah, I mean
there's
the
a
Bat
few
did
others.
that
Yeah,
too. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah.
you kind of checked off some boxes,
Well,
Darren.
I didn't do the Batmobile. I never
Well,
did.
no,
I
the
never.
cycle.
Yeah,
No, but you did
the
the
Light
cycle.
Cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did Light Cycle. I got to do a couple Star Wars things. It was fun.
Yeah.
So I like all the vehicle stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
it's
my
always
God.
fun.
That is
Yeah.
a dream. And I mean, as big, I have 7-year-old twin boys, and so Hot Wheels is like our life. Like it doesn't it never goes away, which I'm proud of. I like them
Yeah.
playing with physical things. So
Yeah.
Hot
No,
Wheels.
I'm really proud of that legacy. It's an honor. Yeah.
Right. Can I just ask you this? So you went to school for transportation design and then you shifted to digital like background. How did you get to production designer?
I went to a design school in California called Art Center College of Design, and
Mhm.
I went really when I was very young. It was basically a car design. It was a great school, but known for its car design kind of a program. And I was there, and it was incredible experience, great training, amazing education as an industrial designer. But while I was there, I was really interested in all types of design, and I was really young. Most of that school was more of a graduate school, but I got in out of high school, and it was a really accelerated program, and I didn't want to graduate when I was like 19 or 20.
Right.
So I took a lot of time off, and I did internships. So I did an internship at Kodak in upstate New York doing digital cameras before digital cameras were a thing, which was really,
Mhm.
really cool. And I liked that. And then I did an internship at General Motors
Oh,
doing
wow.
cars. I got in, which was a really coveted internship, and I really didn't like it. I hated it. It just, for a lot of reasons, it was an eye-opening experience. Really young. I was like, 18, and all I had dreamed about my whole life was like getting to design cars. And I kind of got there, and it wasn't really what I liked. It wasn't fulfilling in
Yep.
a lot of ways. And then I got back to school, and there really wasn't a pathway into film design from where I was, and didn't really exist yet. But I knew Sid Mead growing up, and I knew Joe Johnston, and
Mm.
I knew I had the Star Wars sketchbook, and I knew there was a job out there for kind of concepting and film. Didn't quite know how to do it. But then I got my last internship was with Disney, and I got to work at Imagineering. And
Oh,
so I
wow.
took a year, took a year off and worked at Imagineering and got just exposed to the studio and all different types of artists, all different types of mediums, and it just opened my eyes. I was like, wow, what an amazing place. And then I graduated college and I got offers to go to the car companies, and I turned them down, and my parents were really freaking out. It was scary. And
Yeah.
I said, I really want to try this film thing. So I started hitting I started hitting the pavement and started as a storyboard artist and concept illustrator for a lot of visual effects companies, Boss Films and DreamQuest and some of these other smaller visual effects companies. And then I had been doing that for a little while, and then I got an offer. I was storyboarding a show for ILM, and a bunch of the people at ILM were breaking off and starting this visual effects company in Venice, California, Venice Beach, called Digital Domain for James Cameron. And so I got hired really young to start the art department at Digital Domain, super young. Like I mean, maybe I was 23, 24. And so that was amazing because they were just doing True Lies, and they were getting ready to do Titanic, and did Interview with the Vampire and Apollo 13, and a bunch of commercials, and hired my dad. My dad got to come work for me at Digital Domain, which was
Oh my God,
amazing. And
that's
he was,
awesome.
yeah, he became visual effects art director on Fifth Element.
Oh,
He loved that, and that he kind of ended his career doing movies, which was what he always wanted to do, which
oh
was
my God, that's
amazing.
great.
Yeah, and then I started production designing commercials through Digital Domain, and David Fincher gave me my very first commercial, which was huge. So I did a commercial with him at Digital Domain and started doing commercials, left Digital Domain, and started a career as a production designer, mostly doing commercials. And then I got my big break was Idiocracy with Mike Judge.
Yeah.
So I got to do that, which was a crazy experience. And then I started doing movies.
Isn't it crazy the path that we all like?
Yeah.
There's no like straight line. Like
No.
I don't know. I don't think I've met anyone who had a straight line to where we are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And but when I was kind of starting to see my path and thinking, wow, production design seems like a really amazing job, and I was starting to figure that out. I was trying to figure that out, like how do people get there? And
Yeah.
a lot of, if you, I guess if you're looking for the most traditional route, coming up through an art department, set design and things like that. But I didn't have the patience for it. I was like, I want to figure this out quick. Uh, and then I started asking around, and I was like, there was production designers coming from photography and costume design and all these different elements of film, and so I was really, really lucky and fortunate, and very tenacious, and
Yeah.
just got lucky.
I always like when people ask, I'm like, it's not, it's luck, but you have to be prepared for when the call comes in.
Oh no, the harder you work, the luckier you get. You got to
Yeah.
work really, really,
You
really
gotta
hard
really
to get
want
the
this.
hour. Yeah, you got to work really, really hard to get yourself in a position to get an opportunity, and then you got to make the most of it.
And it's who remembers you. It's not who
Yeah,
you know. It's who remembers you in the time of need,
yeah,
really.
yeah. It's true.
Um, I love hearing people how they got into this because it's always fascinating to me. And you had such a I love too because I think it hits home with people of like I tried this and I thought I wanted it and I didn't and then I went this way and that's the best way to do it even in the art department. I wanted to be a storyboard artist. I wanted to be a set designer and I tried these things and I was like, no, that's not it. So,
Yeah.
there's so many jobs in the art department to figure out like what your passion could be. So, yeah, you have to try it.
Yeah, I love the art department. I love the personalities. I love all the expertise and all the crafts. I just
Yeah.
think it's an amazing place to be if you can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you so much. It was a joy to speak with you. I'm such a fan. So, and
Thanks, Kim.
I love the film. I was a late comer to Tron, like later on, and then saw the films and appreciate everything that goes into it. But I really like this. We know what I kept thinking. They probably, I was like, oh, you have all this red, and Jared has these big blue eyes. It's like how what a perfect contrast for this like guy to be so blue-eyed in this red world. I just kept thinking of that when I saw him, but
Yeah.
I'm glad they
It
didn't
was
change sides.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Yeah, it's funny. It kind of seems to be falling into the same pattern as some of the other ones. I think Tron always finds its audience. It might take a little longer, but these
Yeah.
movies usually find their audience after time. We'll see.
I thought this one particularly is so well rounded in the story and like and the action and the grids and the real world and everything. I really appreciated everything that went into the script even. I thought it was really good. So I liked it.
Thanks. It was
Yeah.
fun. I got to see it in New York at Lincoln Center, the IMAX theater, and it
Oh,
was. I mean, if you get to, I mean, this is one of those films where in IMAX it's a different experience. It really
that's
is.
that was one other thing I would quickly. Did you have to do anything specifically different in designing this for IMAX?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think specifically in in how the movie was conceived or designed specifically for IMAX, but just as a visual experience and the sound, and the graphic nature of the film, it just seems to work really well in that theater. It's just in
Yeah.
that format. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What an
Yeah.
achievement. So
Thank you.
thank you so much.
You're
And
very welcome.
I hope this work is appreciated because I know it was a lot. It was a lot of
Thank
work.
you, and thank you for doing this show. I think it's fantastic for our industry.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
that. I love it.
Absolutely.
All
Cool.
right, well, stay warm.
See, I told you, it completely nerded out. I mean, I just love hearing about how they got the red and that gloss on there and the development of these. I don't want to say toys. I want like the machinery of it and building it, and it's amazing. It's just simply amazing filmmaking and design. I just have to say that. That's all. What a career to have. So I'm so glad I got to speak with him. And I respect anyone who can make a glossy floor look as gorgeous and survivable as they did on TRON. So thank you, Darren, so much for giving me that time. And I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, bonus episode. So today's Tuesday, Thursday, Hamnet. If you haven't seen Hamnet, you got 2 days to cry your eyes out, as I did, talking with it. And I do get very emotional talking with those two ladies. And what a wonderful team they are. So Thursday, another episode for your Oscar consideration. Yes. So if you love this episode, do me a favor. Follow and subscribe to Decorating Pages so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you can, leave a quick little rate and review. It helps the show tremendously. Please, 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 please. And if you really like more of what I got going on, start the subscription. It's either monthly or yearly on iTunes and on Patreon. And I'm trying to do you can talk on the boards on Patreon. So it's kind of like a Twitter board they got going on. So yeah.